What's up, everybody? How you doing today? Charlie, my really good friend here on the island, has been very excited about this box.
Very excited.
It's a USPS box, and we're going to do a box review of a USPS box. Now, it gets beaten up a little bit, and there's some scuff marks on it, but it's I think it's a good box. So if you get a chance, get a USPS box, like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next week. Okay, so the real product review is in this. Charlie, what is in here? What has you so excited?
So first of all, I want to give a shout out to Great Escape Adventures in Homestead, New York. They've been great, phenomenal. I was kind of worried about the shipping and everything. Living in Key West, it's kind of nuts getting stuff down here.
You live and die by shipping down here in Key West. Everything you get and you want has to come through the mail, so shipping is a big, big deal down here.
Yeah, so they've been great, keeping me in the know on what's going on with my package. This was a Kickstarter thing that apparently I didn't know about until the very end, which I'm kind of sad that I didn't get to put anything into it. So let's, first of all, I got super excited and already kind of opened it. This was one of the main reasons I wanted to give a shout out to them. They gave me a thank you letter. I mean, it doesn't really say all that much, but a thank you for purchasing from them.
It's a handwritten letter, though.
Yeah.
That's actually somebody writing a letter to you.
Yeah, and I mean, they gave all the Twitter tags and Instagram tags and all of that for them, but
I'll include all that info down below.
I just thought it was really cool that they did that for me. Yeah, super neat.
So let's jump into this because I'm excited about this, and I'm going to show you some. Just take a look at this box while we pull it out real quick. Bam! Yay! So I've never been like a Dark Souls from software type person. I didn't even know about these games until Dark Souls 3 was coming out. And a bunch of my online friends, oh, Dark Souls 3 is coming out really, really soon, but they've made another game called Bloodborne, and then they all started playing Bloodborne, so I decided to check it out. It was a gorgeous game, and man, was it punishing. I've gone through 2 controllers because of that game. There's a dent in my wall right there because of that game. There's a dent in my drywall right there because of that game. And these people that know of the Dark Souls game, these are punishing games. These are just as hard as the original NES games, SNES games. You make a mistake, you're dead. Ironically enough, that's actually how I met Charlie, was because of Dark Souls 3. I met him online because there's a picture of a TV they were selling and it had Dark Souls 3, and I was like, I don't want your TV, but I play that game. Do you want to play together? And we became friends. So it's funny coming full circle that now they've made a board game. This is the Kickstarter project, right?
This is the Kickstarter project, yes. So it's just as immersive, or supposed to be just as immersive as the PS4 version or PC version of the game. 1 to 4 players. You can actually play this game by yourself, which isn't really recommended, but it's 1 to 4 people.
Just like the console version. Don't play it by yourself.
Yeah,
grab a friend. It's dangerous to adventure alone.
It's not as fun by yourself. But
and this looks like it's a long game, because on the side of the box it says 90 minutes to 120 minutes.
That is for a short campaign from what I've been reading, yes.
Wow.
So
the longest board game I've ever played, I think, has been 50 minutes, and at that point it was just crazy because you're so intense and you're so invested into it. So a game like this is going to take time. So don't just get this and be like, oh, we can play a quick 15-20 minute campaign. Just know that this is going to take you a long time to play. The artwork on the box is absolutely gorgeous. It looks just like the game cover, the box cover from the PlayStation 4 version.
Dark Souls 3.
Yeah, Dark Souls 3 version of it. On the back of it, there's little pictures of all the monsters and whatnot. So you get an idea of what's included in the box. And Charlie, this isn't just all that's coming, right? There's going to be, what's coming next? What's the next step for the Dark Souls board game?
So, again, back to the Kickstarter, a lot of it said that they had a really hard time putting in the bosses and figuring out what bosses to put into the core game.
There's a lot of bosses in the game. The game is not linear in any way. You kind of go around and you explore, but there's side bosses, bonus bosses, mini bosses, main bosses, hard bosses. As you can imagine, trying to fit all of that into a board game is a little bit difficult.
Yeah, definitely. So they kind of split it up, and there's supposed to be expansions coming out throughout the year. They're saying that they're making a bunch of expansions. Just, I mean, I don't know how big this is going to get.
Kind of like a DLC for a board game. They're just going to kind of come out with extra content with extra people in it.
I think it's supposed to be every 6 months, something like that.
That's impressive. That's actually really impressive.
Yeah.
For turnaround time. Every 6 months to produce a physical product and ship it out is a lot different than just, oh, here's some DLC, download it as you need. So let's jump into the box. Let's take a look at everything, because just staring at the back of this has me really excited about what is inside the box. So anybody that's familiar with the game, you have seen this screen a lot. So just know right off the bat, you're dead. That's how Dark Souls, the board game, is going to start. Thank you for coming by and watching this review. Like, comment, subscribe, and see you next week. Alright, put that off to the side to make sure. So let's just, what do you want to start with, this stuff or this stuff?
Yeah, we can start with the cards. Everything is kind of closed, so...
So this is a card-based game. You can definitely smell the new card to this. And people that are book lovers out there, you know the smell I'm talking about. Alright, so one of the...
Sorry.
So one of the first things that you notice is that everything in here is cardboard, so you can figure out that these are going to be your minions, your tokens, your player placements, everything big. There's a black card holder thing, and there are a lot of little cards in here, and Charlie's working on getting these out right now. From what we can tell right off the bat is these are monster cards, monster move cards. What did you say these are?
It looks like level cards.
Level cards. We haven't found the instructions just yet, so we're just going to keep digging through here and setting things up and try to get an understanding with you guys of the Dark Souls board game.
Actually, while I'm opening this, I do want to say that I have not watched any of the videos about how this is supposed to be played. I kind of wanted to leave an element of surprise to all of that.
Alright, so underneath the cardboard pieces that have clearly minions and stuff in it, you come across the manual. So now that we have the manual, we can better identify what these different cards are and how they function. I was literally about to start talking, then I realized you're not even in the frame. Okay, so we just opened up a lot of the cards, actually the majority of cards, that are enemies, enemy attacks, treasures, items, and it's all broken down like a lot. It's not just like, oh, this person slashes, oh, this person attacks. Each boss, mini-boss, and enemy NPC has its own moveset. And if you look at the back of all the cards, you can see that there's a little icon that tells you what moveset, what boss, what hero that belongs to. That is defined here in the book because the boss figurine has a special icon that is attached to the cards and the moveset that it has, which makes sense because anybody that knows Dark Souls knows that everything has a moveset, it has attack patterns, phases, everything is just very precise. So there's a lot just to the boss cards, and we haven't even unpacked the rules or anything else, just these first 2 pages of the game so far. I would highly suggest that you get a pack of small rubber bands. That way you can keep all the little cards together while you're putting them away and taking them out. I do not have any small rubber bands. This was not very well prepared. So one thing to note, these cards are very new, very smooth, and they slide out of your hands very easily. You notice that the back of these have our friends from across the pond flag on it. This game is not made.
Yeah, it's not made
It's not
here.
in the States. It's
made
European.
Yeah.
It's Europe. Well, that'd suck if I just dropped those all over the
man.
place. Let's open up the figurines. These I want to take a look at. So one thing to note about this is even though it says Dark Souls the board game, it's not just Dark Souls 1, 2, or 3. It's actually a combination of all of them. So the big giveaway for me is that this is a dancer. Bosses in Dark Souls 3, and I've recognized these two from videos of the hardest bosses in video games, and they're from
The very first Dark Souls.
They're from Dark Souls 1. So this is just a combination of who you're going to face and who's going to kill you and how many times you're going to see the you're dead. So we'll set these guys out right here. So these are the boss pieces alone. There's a couple mini bosses in here. If you take a look at the rule book, it'll tell us who is who and what is what. And once again, go to page 2. Alright, so it comes with 2 main bosses. You have the Dancer of the Boreal Valley, and then you have Dragon Slayer Ornstein and Executioner Smough. Is that right?
Yeah.
Your mini bosses are Boreal Outrider Knight. Then you have the Gargoyle. Then you have the Titanite Demon. And then you have the Wing Knight. I think it's interesting that the Wing Knight's included in this because you face one like in the first stage of the game, and then you face them in the like they're not like bosses. They're just kind of wandering around. They have no whatever. But hey, it's cool. They're very detailed. They're very pretty. So these are just your main bosses, enemies for the scenarios that you have coming up in the game. Okay. So the figurines are nice. They're very detailed, as you can tell by which one. This is the one you like, right?
Yeah.
However, I do gotta say that the plastic is, while being very lightweight, and I'm a big fan of lightweight plastic. You need to be very careful when you get to this. I don't know if you can see this, but it moves around a little bit. The finer tips move around. So if you have kids, you need to like be very. You have a daughter.
Oh yeah.
How old is she?
7.
She's never gonna touch this game or see this game.
Absolutely not.
It's recommended for ages 14 and up, but you just really need to be careful because they're very detailed, but it's 3D printed plastic, and it's not a very dense plastic, so just be careful when you're moving this around. If they come out with the version 2, which they usually do of a game, they usually come out with the upgraded version after sales, hit enough and they find some flaws in it, I hope that they actually increase the density of the plastic so it feels just a little bit more substantial. Just a small note, other than that, the figurines are absolutely gorgeous. These are what?
These are your player tokens as well as the mini.
These 4 are the player tokens.
Yes.
Okay, so these guys, these other ones are just the creatures that you kill in a campaign. These are just your NPC enemies.
Yes.
As you can see, he's being careful to remove these. Like I said, it's plasticky, so you kind of want to be careful with what you do. You know what? Just because we're talking about Dark Souls, I'm going to include a link down below into some of my favorite Dark Souls 3 moments. It's just stupid stuff that happens in the game, so it's usually glitches or PvP, people being stupid. Alright, so these little guys are your enemies. Starting on our right, so the camera left, you have the Sentinel, the Silver Knight Swordsman, the Silver Knight Great Bow Woman, which is actually probably one of my favorite weapons in the game is the Great Bows. So you have the Great Bow Woman. After that, you have the Large Hollow Soldier, which you run into right off the bat in Dark Souls 3 and it'll probably kill you a few times. You have a Hollow Soldier, and then you have a Crossbow Hollow. So these are just your basic NPCs. Again, really great detail on them. They look really, really sharp. Got to be even more careful with these because their weapons are smaller scale than the boss weapons. If you have friends, I have a friend that paints figurines for people. So the nice thing about this is you could potentially paint these to be really detailed if you're into that part of board game playing with figurines. And so these 4 small little brown ones are the player characters. This is your avatar in the game. The size comparison of your character to the bosses seems pretty realistic to how it would be in the game because many times when you're facing a boss, your character is incredibly small and the bosses are just giant. So there's your size comparison, and I can just assume how punishing this would be. You have 4 different characters. Starting from the right, we have the Knight, followed by the Warrior, then the Assassin, and then the Herald. And that's it. You have one of those 4 classes to take, and then you go on this adventure through whatever campaign you're going to go. We still have more to go through this box, so let's keep on moving past the character selection screen. So the last thing that came out of the box with the bosses on it were these player tokens. These are tokens. Do we have any idea what this represents?
No clue.
So after you have all the characters pulled out and set aside, after the cards are set aside, you have your little token icons. So the wooden cubes, they're very, very small. The red cubes stand for your damage. So you have 32 damage tokens, 32 stamina tokens, which are your black ones, and then you have 16 level up tokens, which are your white. And when let's play these games, know that stamina is going to go up and down all the time, especially if you're trying to dodge. After that, we have our dice tokens. 5 black, 4 blue, 2 orange, and 4 green. Okay, so we're going to keep going because there's more tokens that the thing just showed, so move those off to the side. And just like every other cool board game, you have really, 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 really thick sheets of cardboard. So as you can see, these boards are your maps and their layouts. This actually reminds me of Betrayal at House on the Hill because they line up in a particular fashion, a particular way as doorways from one room to the other. On the boards, you're going to have little specific circles that show up that are for attack or where your character is going to stand or encounter pieces in places. All the boards are 2-sided, so there's basically twice as much going on as you would think. I don't know if you guys are one of those people, but I'm one of those people that I love popping out these little cardboard pieces. Like there's something very refreshing about doing it. There are a lot of little cardboard pieces that you pop out. I'm not even 100% sure how you're supposed to keep track of it and how you're supposed to store them or put them away anywhere. A lot of other games will have little compartments designed in the box where you put your little tokens and your own little baggies and whatnot. This is not one of them, surprisingly. Okay, so I didn't know what these were to begin with. It's these little, they're just like little plastic, little nubby things. If you look at the boss and the enemy tokens, markers, whatever you want to call them, there's a little cutout in the middle that I just pushed one out completely. Whoops. That is for rotation because they all have an area of an attack, a way that they're facing, in a way that they are looking. There's other ones on here that have numbers to keep track of hits, to keep track of HP, to keep track of your experience. The last set of cards that you punch out are your character. These are character sheets. They come with your stats. They come with the portrait of the character you're playing. They have what are the red ones? Damage?
Yeah, damage.
You have your life bar gauge on here. You have items. You have the equipment that you stack on your character. As everyone knows in Dark Souls, you have equipment loaded on your character that you can switch through at any time. Probably be a little bit different on this. You have an Estus Shard flask on here. I mean, it has everything that's basically that you keep track of mentally and is displayed very briefly on your character screen. All right here. There's soul tokens on some of them. You know, you crack your souls. That's how you buy stuff in this game. And for the most part, that's pretty much it. So as far as how the campaigns get set up, you only have this one book here. This one book is your rule book, your explanation book, and at the very back of it, you have the campaigns that you run. It gives you the setup of how the bosses work, how the bosses are supposed to be placed inside their respective area. It gives you examples of how the bosses are supposed to be run. It gives you the rules of the campaigns, and then the first journey, Dark Souls 1 specifically, is where the book starts off with at page 34. I think the only thing I'm excited about playing this is there's no PvP encounters. At the very back of it, there's a game tracking sheet. Make copies of this. Find a friend with a copy or go to Office Max. Make a lot of copies of this because you're not going to want to write in this book. I've never understood why even video games have a note section in the back of their book, but like this is something you'll need to keep track of. On the back is a quick sheet, a reference sheet, a cheat sheet for what's going on with movements, positionings, and whatnot. That is everything that comes inside of the box. I am very impressed, I gotta say, with the amount of detail that they've included between the creatures, on the character cards. The artwork on the rooms is wonderful. The artwork in the rulebook is wonderful, absolutely amazing. Everything here is very true to what the look of Dark Souls, the Dark Souls world, is supposed to encompass. And they've done a wonderful job in bringing this to life. The small mentions that I mentioned a little bit ago, I think it'd be nice that they have little pockets for you to keep all the different character stuff, especially these little punch-out things, off to the side, and they use a stronger plastic. But I gotta say, for a Kickstarter campaign made by the company Steamforged Games, this is really good. This is a very good first step out into a Dark Souls board game. Alright guys, if any of you have picked up the Dark Souls board game, please let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you've run a campaign already, how that went for you, if there's gripes that you have with it, if there's things that you really liked about it. Like and subscribe. The channel is slowly growing. Once I started focusing on this, I've jumped up from 40 subscribers. I'm almost up to 90, which means I'll be at 100 very soon, which is really exciting. And hopefully we can do a quick video review of what it's like to actually sit down and play a game with this soon. So see you guys next time.